your brain, you're in the nuts domain. Come on in, it's about to begin. Don't move.
Hi, I'm Matt.
I'm John.
I'm Jesse.
I'm Shirley.
And welcome to the Nerds Domain Podcast.
Woo!
This week we're talking about Stagecoach.
Yay.
It's a Criterion collection. Yay!
Yay!
The Criterion Collection is a continuing series of important classic and contemporary films on home video and streaming. Eat that one, Jesse.
Okay, you got me this time.
So let's talk about what Stagecoach is according to IMDb. Terrible. Actually, it kind of sums up the movie. A group of people traveling on a stagecoach find their journey complicated by the threat of Geronimo and learn something about each other in the process.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's...
That about it?
Yeah.
So that'll be it for... Oh, wait, no. So, Jesse.
Yes.
You're a big fan of romantic comedies and chick flicks, right? Because you suggested this, and this was clearly a love story.
As is all Westerns. But yes, I am a fan of romantic comedies, but I am also a fan of Westerns.
And this, according to my reading, was what put Westerns on the map.
This is the Western. Every stereotype you've seen in this movie that you go, oh man, that is a horrible stereotype, is because of this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if it was the first Western, but it was the one that made Westerns a thing.
Yeah, it's not the first Western.
No, it wasn't,
but
it was...
the first one of note that people, this was what made what the Hulu, where we watched this film, Hulu's description says this film catapulted Westerns out of the B-movie category and into the mainstream, and made the careers for people like John Wayne.
Yeah.
So.
And did you guys have seen It's a Wonderful Life, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Did you notice that the uncle in It's a Wonderful Life was in this?
It's been a long time. I don't remember.
He was the stagecoach driver.
Oh, Andy Devine.
No, he was not the stagecoach driver.
Isn't that what you told me?
He's the doctor.
Oh, was he?
You mean the whiskey salesman?
Oh, the other...
No, the actual
Oh,
doctor.
the actual drunk
drunk
doctor. Okay. See,
and this movie had such taglines as "Danger holds the reins as the devil cracks the whip."
Wow, that is a very exciting movie. I want to watch that one too.
Yes.
Rising above their past in a West corrupted by violence and gunfire. Actually, those are really good taglines, I have to say.
I don't think they're accurate for this film, but they're intriguing taglines.
Well, I don't know. That Danger holds the reins, when they finally catch up to the stagecoach, when Geronimo was actually there, it had that feel.
True. But the devil is hardly involved in this film.
Yeah. Well, except unless you count Geronimo as the devil.
Well, then that's racist, but,
Well, but he was on a warpath killing people and burning things.
Sure.
I can kind of see that as the...
I won't say it was justified, but he had reasons.
Yeah. So this was filmed in 1939. Did it feel to anybody like a 1939 movie?
Not even vaguely.
When I went and read that, to look up why this movie was important, like I do after watching Everyone We Do, I was a little shocked.
What'd you think, Shirley?
That it felt like a 1930s?
Did it really?
No.
Oh, okay.
I don't think it did at all.
So would you say it was ahead of its time? Like it was...
I honestly, it felt like a late 60s, American movie.
Yeah. I mean, aside from the technology, the Blob was the other American movie we've watched, right? I don't think there's been...
I think we've watched another one. You might be right, though.
No, this is the second, I think.
Yeah. So the Blob was the other American movie that we watched, and it was done in the late 50s, correct?
Yeah.
59, 58, yeah.
Yeah. So these two movies, this one is far more polished than the Blob. And
Lord of the Flies, Modern Times, 39 Steps were all at least English.
But they were not American.
Lord of the Flies, I think, was.
I think it was English.
Modern Times definitely was.
Modern Times. Yeah, okay, I'll give you that one.
And I missed the Lord of the Flies podcast, so that's why I forgot about it. So
did you watch that one?
I never did get around to it.
You should.
I know. I read the book. I want to see the movie. So.
Oh, well, then you definitely should watch it.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, this film, Stagecoach, really good. I thought it was ahead of its time. I did not see it dated as in 1939.
No, it felt very. Other than John Wayne looked really young.
Well, yeah, the actor, the John Wayne, very famous actor, being so young.
And this was a very character-driven story. I mean, it was.
Oh yeah, well that was the whole part. I mean, this. Have you guys ever read Canterbury Tales by Chaucer?
No,
Parts of
not
it
yet.
in high school.
You're at least aware of it. The
Yes.
Yeah.
concept of pilgrims and traveling between places. Yeah, like this film like really pulled on that trope, if we can use that word, that story structure. In my opinion, and it executed it amazingly well.
Yeah, I can see that now that you point that out. I didn't think about it while we were watching the movie, but yeah.
Yeah, because rather than tell stories to each other as they went along, you see their histories unfold, their stories.
Yeah.
So they don't make up stories to tell; they actually live stories in the film. So that's the difference between Canterbury Tales and this movie. But it captures that feel very well and executes it very well.
So they make that first stop and they're all eating.
Oh,
did you notice that? Oh, well, I just want to point this out really quick.
Sure.
So did you notice the stagecoach driver comes in and he's like, yeah, we're all ready again, and then he hasn't eaten, so he makes himself a bean sandwich.
Yeah.
Isn't that disgusting?
It's amazing. And while we're on the subject of the stagecoach driver, he is actually my favorite actor in this entire film, Andy Devine.
I enjoyed him quite a bit.
Yeah, he was. His other big film of note, in my opinion, is the Disney animated Robin Hood, where he voiced Friar Tuck the Badger.
Yeah.
Oh, that's where I've heard him. Yeah. I knew the voice was very familiar.
I did, I didn't look at. I looked away. I didn't put it together at first, but I looked away. And then he said something like, "Oh, Curly," talking to his, to the marshal. And I was like, "Holy crap, that's Friar Tuck."
Yeah.
That was one of his last movies.
Was it?
Oh, was it?
Yeah. Yeah. He passed away in '77. Robin Hood was '73.
Oh wow. Well,
he was in a bunch of Walt Disney's Wonderful World of Color movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He did
Which
a lot
I mean
for Disney, but I enjoyed him a lot.
Oh, he was in Gunsmoke? Yeah. I'm not really surprised. I mean, he is a very...
Western. He's very, gold digger or miner out in the wilderness.
Yeah.
He's got that down, that whole wispy, whiny voice that he does. It's hilarious.
You missed his most important role ever.
Oh, did I?
Santa on the 1966 Batman series.
Are you serious?
In the episode, the duo is slumming.
Wow. So,
all right.
I want to bring up the other tangential Batman connection.
Okay.
Do you guys remember Chris, the stereotypical Mexican?
Yes.
Who married the Apache woman? He was in Mask of Zorro. The actual Mask of Zorro film. So do you understand the Batman connection there?
Yeah, because Batman is Zorro?
Well, because in the cartoon, Bruce Timm version of Batman, Mask of Zorro is the movie they went to see the night his parents were killed.
Oh.
So this guy, Chris, influenced Batman. And then the driver of Stagecoach was in Batman. It's full circle.
Yeah.
Speaking of the Mexican guy, he had the best line in the movie, I felt.
I think.
What'd he say?
His wife walks in and someone goes, "Oh, she's a savage," and he goes, "Well, she's a little savage."
I think.
Oh.
You got to add on the I think.
I think. Yes.
So he ended every line with I think.
Yes.
Sure, Doc. I can go get that. I think.
So, Jesse, why don't you give us a rundown of how the movie went?
Well, okay, running it down. Let's see.
Did you watch this movie?
I watched the movie. There's a stagecoach. And it does things. No, there's 9 people in a stagecoach who's trying to get to a, where are they trying to get to? Lordsburg or something like that?
Lordsburg,
yeah.
yes.
Lawrenceburg. They're trying to get to L-Town. You have a whole bunch of characters who, during the travels, learn that they don't like each other a whole lot. I mean, everybody kind of has a problem with somebody else. You've got,
I'd say they start out that way.
The main woman is, one of the main women is Dallas, who you find out later is a prostitute.
Well, no, you find that out
technically,
pretty
you
quick.
get that from the
Yeah,
start,
you kind of know.
When the what are they called? They were the Law and Order League,
the Law and Order
the morally
League,
upright league of women kick out the drunk doctor and the other young woman in town. You kind of know what she does for a living.
True. Then you do have the drunk doctor.
Yep.
You've got Miss Mallory, who's trying to find her husband who's in the cavalry. And
Mrs. Mallory.
You find out later she's pregnant. Did anybody realize she was pregnant to begin with?
No.
We realized it about the time that the baby started crying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I figured it out when she passed out.
Oh, okay.
But because there was
you have Mr. Hancock, who just wants to live, and his name's technically Peacock, but everybody keeps calling him Hancock.
Yeah, his name's Peacock, but they heard it wrong, or they're not used to that name, so they call him Hancock.
Yeah, and he's a whiskey salesman that the doctor drags along to drink his whiskey.
Well, he was already headed to Lordsburg on his way home to.
True, but he was more than willing to stop at a lot of times to turn back.
Yeah, in all fairness, of all the things to have with you if you're a drunk, a whiskey salesman would be the one.
Yes.
Right. And I also liked how they kept calling him pastor because he had the habit of calling everyone brother or sister.
Oh, yeah.
That was funny. So he's a religious whiskey salesman who gets saddled with a drunk doctor.
Yeah.
It was
the best kind of doctor.
It was a great pairing of characters.
You have the stagecoach, the comical stagecoach driver, who is played by Andy Devine. I can't think of what his name was.
Buck. Yeah.
His normal guard is away on something, if I remember correctly, and he picks up the marshal.
Yeah, the town marshal.
The town marshal decides to go along in his place because they're actually looking for a guy named Ringo, who's out in the wilds, who they pick up later.
Yep.
Pretty quick.
Yes. You have, who was it? The ex-Southern soldier who is a gambler who has a crush on the pregnant Miss Mallory.
Right.
I don't think he has a crush.
Okay.
Well,
he served her father.
It's a gentleman's. It's sort of like a chivalrous.
The very first thing he says is that's the vision of an angel.
Right. But it's a chivalrous attraction. He is attracted to her, but he acts from a chivalrous standpoint of this woman is traveling alone. She needs someone to look out for her, and that will be me.
And you have the banker.
Yes, the banker.
Who is carrying a bag, and everybody knows he's up to something.
Well, they wonder.
He's received a what are those things called where you tap, tap, tap?
Telegram.
Hey,
you know those things. You tap, tap, tap.
You tap them, don't you? No, anyway, he says he's received a telegram telling him to go there, but the telegrams have been shut down.
Right.
Yeah.
So they all know he's up to something.
Well, and we know what he's up. The film viewer knows what he's done.
Yeah, he's embezzled a whole bunch of money from the bank.
$50,000, not necessarily from the bank, but from the mining company, who the entire town is made up of miners, and that is their pay. So he has stolen like 6 months worth of pay from these people, and put $50,000 in his satchel, and run out of town.
Now, wow, I didn't realize that.
Before we go too much farther, I'm not too sure if I missed something, but one of the Law and Order League ladies has a thing with him where she says she's getting $5 to pay the butcher.
Right. His wife is the head of the league, and she's throwing a party or a lunch, and she needs money to pay the butcher for the food.
But then they keep calling Geronimo the butcher a lot. And I couldn't help keep drawing parallels between the two, because that seemed rather...
I would chalk that up to coincidence. I don't
Okay.
think it had any real impact on the story, but
It
is funny.
It didn't pan out that way at all.
Yeah,
but-
it is a weird coincidence that she wanted to pay the butcher, and and then they introduced the butcher.
Yeah.
So, that is Geronimo. So.
But then, troubles happen when the gambler finds out that the doctor was once a Union soldier.
Well, tempers flare, yeah.
Yeah, tempers flare.
But
There's
nothing actually happens between them.
No,
They
nothing.
share words, they argue, but
They do.
But then John Wayne puts it, is like, hey guys, let's get along. We're in a stagecoach together for a long time. Let's be friends.
Did we find out what the Ringo Kid did to get put in jail?
Yes.
Yeah.
He killed.
Did I miss that?
He killed the father of the guys he was going to.
No.
Oh.
No.
Didn't he?
Nope.
'Cause
No.
They killed his.
He did not kill.
No.
Yeah, they killed.
He killed.
Yes.
The father of the boy, the father of the guys that he was going to kill, accused him of killing somebody, but the three boys killed his brother and father.
Okay,
So he
I
was
thought he'd already
accused
killed
of
one of
murder?
them also.
No.
See, I missed that as well, Matt. I didn't hear why the Ringo Kid was in jail, but we find out at the.
Accused of killing somebody.
Well, see, that bothers me with what we find out later. At the end of the movie, he asks the marshal, how much time will they put on my sentence for breaking out of jail? And he says probably about a year.
Yeah.
So how long was he sentenced to jail for murder?
Yeah, we don't know that part.
See, that's why I don't think murder was what his crime was, because I thought he was accused of cattle rustling.
Might have been, because at one point he does state he was an honest cattle hand at one time.
Right.
Yeah.
That was what I thought, but I did not hear it, so I can't really say. And I'm looking at the.
Well, at one point during the movie, he's explaining either to Dallas or to somebody, but it comes up that he said somebody had accused him of doing something.
Right, which I thought was cattle rustling, because the kid owns a ranch in Mexico across the border.
Okay.
So like I said, I missed the initial explanation, if there was one, but I was under the impression he was accused of cattle rustling and had taken the cows over to Mexico. They had never recovered the cows, so like his guilt was still in question. But then he broke out of jail because the Plumbers, that was the family name of the men who killed his father and brother. He broke out to get revenge on the Plumbers, but he may have been wrongfully jailed for a crime he didn't commit anyway. So like, that's what I got, but I'm not finding any verification in the description of the film.
Right.
To support my theory or your theory. So, in the end, it comes down to he was in jail, and he broke out, and then he got captured by the stagecoach and the marshal because his horse threw him and went lame.
Yeah. Well, through the entire story, you do get some flirting between John Wayne and the prostitute.
Dallas.
Her name is Dallas.
And then about at the halfway point, he just up and asks her to marry him, which kind of threw me for a shocker.
It didn't.
I'm wondering if the phrase "making eyes" came from this movie.
Did they use
Like,
it?
you're making eyes at her. No, but
Yeah.
did you see them making eyes at each other?
Yeah.
Well, I think the phrase may predate that, but I agree that's what they were doing.
Definitely.
And I disagree. It didn't come as a shock to me. He was.
Well, I can
Yeah,
see him
me
saying,
either.
"Hey, well, why don't we come over to my house and we'll see how things go?" But no,
That's
it's just like
just
straight
not
up.
the way things went back then.
Yeah, out in the
Men
West,
felt
you got
like they
married.
had to take care of women.
Yeah, he saw
And
this
if there
woman
was
in danger or in lack of ways
means.
to provide for herself, means.
Yeah.
There you go, lack of means. So he needed to save her, and like he couldn't court her because his ranch was in Mexico, or he was going to jail. So he was like, I can't do the dating thing, so we just got to get hitched. So I saw it coming.
Yeah.
I saw them getting together coming. I just didn't
Right,
expect the
yeah.
whole.
So Jesse, are you finishing telling us how this movie went?
Oh yeah, and then after that, Indians come up. There's a fight. It's over. No,
Oh my
That
god!
makes the whole last scene. That's the end of the story.
After he does the whole proposal thing, she kind of has to have second thoughts about it. We find out that Miss, not the prostitute,
Miss
was
Mallory.
actually
Mallory.
pregnant the whole time
Yeah.
and has dropped a baby. And there are...
She didn't drop. She has a baby.
She has a baby. The doctor finally becomes sober.
Yeah.
This
And
is why the ladies love Jesse. You dropped a baby. Pop that thing right out. Go ahead, Jesse. You're fine.
so, Miss Dallas suggests to John Wayne that he ought to leave, gives him a gun, gives him the horse. John Wayne decides it's a good idea to do it, and he starts to head out and notices the smoke on the horizon.
You kind of glossed over the point where while they never said she was a prostitute, it's highly indicated.
It is highly, highly indicated.
And they, for some reason, they feel like Dallas has not actually told Ringo why she's in this situation. And so, like, the doc tells her, hey, you should tell him you're a prostitute and see what he says to that. And she doesn't want to tell him. So she goes back and forth because she doesn't want to tell him what she did before meeting him. And then,
and there's no reason why Ringo would have any idea she was a prostitute, except
No,
for the fact that everybody was kind of treating her oddly. And then there is a point when they're having dinner, the uptight people get up and walk to the other side because he has her set next to them.
right.
And then he covers for him, saying that it was his reasoning the whole time, and I'm pretty
like
sure he knew the reason why they got up and did it. He just
I agree. He never said it because it would be impolite, and he didn't care.
Yeah.
And so he plays it off like, oh, I must smell or something.
Yeah, well, actually, he states he just broke out of jail. I mean, he comes right out and says you can't break out of jail in one day and break into society the next.
That's right. That's what he said, and that was a great line.
Yeah.
So he's like, oh, people must not want to sit here because of me, ha ha. So he's helping her out or trying to. Yeah. So. But anyway, so as you were saying, as she gives him a horse and a gun,
yeah,
he's like, I'm going to take off.
Yep.
Yeah. And we know the Apaches are coming.
Yep. They panic. They jump in the stagecoach and start riding off at full tilt. I mean, that stagecoach was really moving when you were looking on the outside, and when you were inside, it was a pretty smooth ride.
Yeah.
Kind of was.
We did notice a couple of times when they looked at the baby and the baby's not moving at all.
Oh yeah, I was slightly
worried
concerned it
happened.
might not have
Yeah.
made it, and the movie might have went dark, but it was awfully comical up to that point.
Yeah. So, was anybody else impressed when they went across the river?
Yeah, that never works in the Oregon Trail.
It never does.
Yeah, not once.
Not once.
And the thing is, I was like looking at that going, dude, Mythbusters. We need to write Mythbusters and see if this could really happen.
They probably actually had
really,
to do that then, though. There was
that was really what happened.
Hold on, you mean that wasn't any CGI or anything? I'm kidding.
It was an option in Oregon Trail to try it that way. It never works.
Yeah, it rarely works. You have to hit the river when there's been a drought and But that's just fording the river. I mean, that was what they did. But it impressed me because my own experience with it is an Oregon Trail, and I always hit a rushing river and had to pay pay the ferry cost.
Yeah, which one of the stagecoaches is going to die?
Right.
There was no dysentery in this story. But anyway, after they get across that, the Indians actually catch up with them. They kind of surround them somehow.
Yeah.
Well, six horses dragging a stagecoach.
Yeah, true. It wouldn't be hard to catch up.
Single horses with one person.
Stagecoach was really moving, though, at points.
It was moving as fast as it probably could.
Yeah.
What's with the rocks?
Oh,
yeah, why were they throwing rocks at the horses?
To get them to go in a straight line on the river. They weren't actually throwing them at the horse at that time. Later on, they were doing it just for fun. But on the river, it actually mattered.
No, I think they were doing it the whole time to compel them to run forward. Because the stagecoach driver had his whip.
Yeah.
Or his crop, whatever the right word is, and then the marshal was using the rocks as additional incentive to the horses.
Yeah.
To
This
like,
would
like
get him to kick faster. And in
yeah,
the river, he was actually missing the horses. And I'm not 100% sure if he was just missing the horses all the time and you could actually see it in the river, or if he was trying to splash the horses to keep them on a straight path.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
that may have been it too, but
yeah, other times he just throws the rocks at the horses too.
Yeah.
Oh.
But overall, it was just to get them moving faster.
And when the Indians do finally attack, there's one of them that does the now stereotypical, I'm going to jump onto the horses leading the stage to
that
stop.
was awesome.
But when he rides up there, he has a spear. He looks at it and just kind of chucks it over his shoulder.
Well, you can't hold on to horses and a spear at the same time.
They
That's
just
crazy.
wanted to stop the stagecoach. He could have just stabbed the first horse, and they're down one horse.
they want the horses.
They're down
They
one
want the
horse.
horses.
But they get the
Yeah,
rest of
the thing is, that's a commodity to them.
It
They
is.
need the horses.
I just thought it was
Yeah.
it was humorous
There's
the
no-
way he
And
just kind of
plus,
chucked it
they're
over his shoulder.
Indians. It's
He
why
could have
would
at least thrown it at the people on the stagecoach.
Yeah.
That'll give you.
I'm with
but-
you on that.
But yeah, killing the horses, like you don't know what's on the stagecoach. Those 6 horses could have been the only thing of value
True.
that they got out of the whole thing.
And it would have been a nasty wreck also. Whatever was
There
in
would
it
have been a very
Yeah,
nasty
if you kill that first horse, the horses, all the other
It
horses
would've
are
been a-
dead.
it would've
Yeah,
been
they're going to break a leg or a neck.
Still,
or something.
the way he just kind of chucked it over.
Chucked it over his shoulders.
Yeah.
So they get to
So
town.
Yeah. I'll finish this out, Jesse, since you're doing such an admirable job. They get all the way into town, and it's the town where Ringo Kid has come to find the plumber boy.
Yeah. We did leave out there that the gambler dies in the.
Oh yeah.
Gambler and the
There's-
gun.
There is
Derringer.
there is quite a bit we actually left out there. The one guy who really just wanted to survive, Mr. Peacock, catches the first arrow in the chest. I thought that was perfect.
I thought he was dead.
I did too.
So did
He
I.
But in the end,
yeah,
they run out of ammo on the trip, and the gambler has 1 bullet left.
Which is also something else I really liked. I mean, they do a great job of showing them all reloading. Even the Indians reload frequently.
Yeah.
Running out of an ammo is the main part of the attack.
Right. Yeah. And the gambler contemplates or is about to kill Mrs. Mallory because to save her from the savages, and right at the last minute, so you see Mrs. Mallory and the gun in his hand in a tight close up, and he's cocked the hammer back, and then you hear a final shot come into the carriage, and it kills the gambler and saves her life.
Yeah.
And that I was
And
really
then
worried.
the bugles.
And then the cavalry comes and escorts them the rest of the way and saves the day.
Which
Very
would have
dramatic.
been tragic had he shot her and the cavalry were there.
Right.
But if the cavalry weren't there, it would have still been the honorable thing to do.
It would have. Right, and it would have been acceptable for the time, and and it would have been too dark for the time period, 1939. I don't think they would have gotten away with shooting her.
That's about the time. When did The Searchers come out? That's another western that deals with the whole Indians capturing the women and.
Well, I just think the film critics would have objected too much, and it wouldn't have.
Yeah.
If they had killed her and then had the cavalry show up, like that would have been horrible.
Oh yeah, and The Searchers wasn't until the late 50s, so yeah, that's.
So anyway, so they get to town, and we meet the plumber boys. They're hanging out in their favorite bar. They find out Ringo Kid has showed up. There's a lot of tension there. The doctor saves the Ringo kids from being shot with a shotgun. He doesn't let the plumbers leave with their big gun. And then you see Ringo Kid and Dallas revealing that she's a prostitute, and that she says she doesn't deserve him, and he's like, yes, no, we're perfect for each other. Let's run away together. But I got to do this one thing. And there's a shootout off camera. You don't know who wins the shootout. They cut to a scene of Luke walking back into the bar, and he dies.
Yeah, they made it very clear that there were 3 shots and then a fourth. So I figured he had shot 3, and then someone shot him because that was his 3 shots, and then someone else afterwards.
Well, I think it was like the death throw.
Yeah.
Somebody managed to pull the trigger, but since the one brother couldn't shoot a cat 4 feet in front of him.
Well, the thing is, they were all omens. He got the dead man's hand.
Yeah.
Luke got the dead man's hand, and then the cat walked in front of all 3 of them, the black cat.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I didn't think of it that way. That's perfect. Yeah, Luke is dealt the dead man's hand in a poker game, then finds out his rival has shown up in town. It's like, yeah, that was brilliant. I didn't even realize. Good catch, Shirley.
Well, actually, Matt saw it first, because I didn't even realize it. And then he said that, but then when the black cat walked in front of all 3 of them, I was like, well, that's kind of like,
I got the dead man's hand, but it never dawned on me the cat was black, but the cat was definitely black.
Yep.
At least in a black and white film. It may have been dark brown.
It was a very dark cat.
But it was very dark.
Very, very dark black, So
that's awesome. Those are great little... Because they should have just turned tail and run.
Yeah.
They were doomed.
But they don't even have their whole heart into it, it doesn't seem. I mean, it's...
Well, they knew they had done, what his vengeance was righteous.
Yeah.
Plus, it's like they comment like 4 times on the ride that the kid is a good shot.
Right. Well, they also comment 4 times or a lot that the kid is in the right. The kid is a hero, and the plumbers are bad guys, but there's 3 of them against 1. And they even go so far. I don't know if this was a trope at the time, but it probably was. The kid wears a white hat. Jake Plummer and his brothers wear black hats.
Yep.
That's actually a John Wayne thing.
Yeah.
I just don't know when it started.
I think this is the movie it started in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like I said, most of the Western tropes you see in this movie were from this movie.
Sure. Yeah. So, I was like, they're doomed. They're wearing black hats. They're getting dealt bad cards. They got crossed by a black cat, but they don't leave town like they should.
Yeah.
So then, the movie wraps up with the marshal coming back. John Wayne thinks he's going back to jail. The Ringo Kid thinks he's going back to jail. Instead, the doctor and the marshal put Dallas and him on a wagon and send him off into the sunrise. Because we already missed sunset. It already happened.
Yeah.
So they get to head off to Mexico and live happily ever after. The end.
So, what did you guys think? Since that was a really long explanation, because we kind of talked about what we thought as we went.
I absolutely loved it.
Johnny?
Jesse's a hopeless romantic at heart.
I am.
Yeah. I would honestly say I do not. Before this film, I did not like westerns. I'm trying to think. The only other pure western that I cared for was the one with I'm drawing a blank. The shootout at the OK Corral.
Tombstone.
Is that when Kevin Costner played Doc Holliday?
That wasn't. No, that wasn't. That was Kevin. Yeah, no.
Kevin Costner was in the movie I liked.
Yeah,
I'm drawing a blank on what it was.
You're thinking of Dances with Wolves.
No,
I think.
No.
I'm not.
No, there's
that's a western, and that has Kevin Costner in it.
It does, but that's not the one that I'm thinking of.
No.
Because in that one he was playing a Native American.
Home on the Range?
No,
that's not right.
I'm pretty sure it is.
I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah,
Tombstone.
Because I get it mixed up.
Tombstone is Kirk Douglas and Val Kilmer.
Okay.
Yeah, because I get Tombstone and the movie that you're talking about mixed up sometimes.
Wyatt Earp, maybe?
Open Range. Haha.
Is that it?
He's in it, and it's a western.
Well, he's also in Silverado.
Tin Cup? No, that's golf.
Anyway,
how about Wyatt Earp?
Wyatt
That's
Earp.
what I just said. I said Wyatt Earp.
We missed it. Sorry, Jesse. Wyatt.
You know that movie where he plays Wyatt Earp? What's the name of that movie? We're terrible.
I thought he played Doc Holliday, but anyway.
No.
He played Wyatt Earp, yeah. So that's the only western, pure western I would say I like. I obviously like Serenity, and I like Star Trek, which are western sci-fi blends in their own ways.
Yeah.
So Wyatt Earp I liked, but I can't honestly say. I guess I like Quick and the Dead with
DiCaprio and Stone.
DiCaprio and all those guys. That was a good one too, but that was a fast-paced action movie. That wasn't as westerny. That wasn't it wasn't a pure western.
Did you like 6 Days, 7 Nights? Or not 6? What am I reading?
Oh my gosh!
That's
Yeah.
Well, I'm looking at Kevin Costner, and it suggests 6 Days, 7 Nights based off.
That's Harrison.
Kevin Costner, is he the one that was in The Postman?
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that movie. That was
also Robin
Tombstone.
Hood.
Did you like Tombstone?
What?
Have you seen Tombstone, Johnny?
I'm not sure I have. I'm looking at it, and it doesn't seem familiar.
I think you should, mostly because Val Kilmer as Doc Holliday is amazing.
Oh my gosh!
I mean, there's not a bad actor in that. Well, I'm sure there's a bad actor somewhere, but the main characters are all played very well, and it's really well handled and all that. I highly suggest it.
I think I tried to watch it one time, but something got in the way, interrupted it.
Yeah.
And I never got around to finishing it, but I don't remember it. So, I don't know.
So, Shirley, did you like the movie?
Yeah, I liked it a lot. It kind of reminded me why I liked Westerns. My dad was a big Clint Eastwood fan, so I grew up watching, like, Hang 'em High and the Westerns that Clint Eastwood was in and
the
Dirty Harry.
Western ones.
Yeah. So, yes, I did like it.
So I think we kind of talked through the movie and all the stuff that we enjoyed. Let's go ahead and get star ratings. We'll start with Jesse.
Oh, I give it 5. I would give it more than 5 if I could, because I've given something else 5 and I like this one better.
5+. Okay.
So, Johnny, what do you think?
I also would give it 5, and a caveat of this is an old Western, so if you're one of those people who doesn't like black and white movies for whatever reason, this probably won't be a 5 for you, but I really liked it, and I'm not a fan of Westerns, so, it's good. Definitely a 5.
Okay. Shirley?
Yeah, I feel like I'm been put on the spot here. I never give anything a 5 unless it's something that I will own and watch over and over again, so I'm going to give it a 4.
Okay. I will give it a 4.5 with 2 points. First, you have to look past some glaring 1939 logic. There's some racism with how they handle both the Apache and the Mexicans.
That's a very good point, Chris.
And you know what? It's not terrible, but it is not.
Well,
right
yeah,
at all.
they make the Apaches out to be cold-hearted murderers. Nothing, they're just out for blood. And honestly, they could, if they went and said that's the Harrison gang, like if they just replaced them with cowboys who were a murderous gang of thugs, it would be fine. It wouldn't change the film at all. Other than take out a bit of racism.
I've kind of gotten to the point to where I like the older Westerns, and I do realize definitely how racist they can be, but that is in their own Western world. Like they have their own rules to it that doesn't match the real world at all.
Right. It doesn't sit well with me that, to apologize or ignore the racism, but it's something you can't avoid when you go back this far.
And you need to just keep it in mind. The other point I was going to get at, and this is actually a plus in my book. This is filmed in 1939. This is not typical. This is not how typical movies in 1939 are ever shot or edited. This is fast paced. Even when it's slow, they're moving along very quickly. It's an hour and 36.
Yeah.
It feels a little bit quicker than that. Now it may have been because Shirley and I were doing stuff like cooking while we were watching it. On the iPad, but it felt like it moved quicker than an hour and 36, which in my book makes it better. It almost felt like it was edited like a modern action adventure movie.
Yeah, if you can't feel the time passing like that, we just finished recording our review of
Samurai Rebellion,
where the
these
movie
are
dragged.
totally different movies.
Well, they are. Yeah, they are.
And there's like a 25-minute difference. That's it.
Right. And then we can compare this movie to Seven Samurai, though, because Westerns, or the Seven Samurai was, I forget now, I'm going to screw this up. One of these two genres influenced each other.
They did.
The director wanted to make a Western, but was afraid his audience wouldn't like that.
Yeah, Kurosawa liked Westerns. Westerns ended up liking Kurosawa, and they just fed off of each other in a impossible circle there.
So I think my point there mostly is that this movie is accessible by almost anyone. If you like action movies today, I think this movie is accessible, and easily so. I think, in my opinion, even though I like Seven Samurai better, I think this is the best movie we've hit with Criterion Collection yet.
Okay.
Because it's so easy to watch, and there's so many things that are being hit there that are important. Like, this is the first Western that really mattered. It was fast-paced and kept us moving. It didn't bog us down like a lot of movies at the time. I really think this is the easiest and best movie for modern audiences.
Of what we've seen so far?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Well, The Blob. But, yeah. Sorry, I liked it. It was good.
I don't dislike The Blob.
Yeah.
There were some... I love the special effects in The Blob.
Yeah.
Like, what they did with nothing is amazing.
Yeah. Well, here's something. Here's a little thing to possibly entice people to go watch this if they're still on the fence. Wizard of Oz, 1939. Came out the same year as this film.
Huh.
So, however you feel about Wizard of Oz, again, Stagecoach is not a fantasy, setting. It's the West. It's the Old West, but they were made at the same time, and I love Wizard of Oz, so those two films are very, came out at the same time, so they have parallels in techniques that you could draw, and I was entranced by both of them.
Absolutely. Okay. Anything else anybody's got to say?
Nope.
Awesome. Just as a reminder, check out our podcast, Masks of Gnarltep. Our next two movies will be Dillinger is Dead, which is also Jesse's fault, and Day of Wrath.
My fault.
Are we back to Samurai on that one? What is that one?
No, neither of... I thought. I looked. No. Dillinger is Dead. I'm not sure what the crap that is.
I have no idea. I had the word Dillinger in it, so...
Back home, Glacko, an industrial designer, finds his wife in bed with a serious headache. She has left him dinner, but it is cold, and Glacko decides to prepare himself a gourmet meal. Hold on, I've got to see the rest of the summary.
Wow.
While looking for some kitchenware, he discovers a revolver in a newspaper dating from 1934, announcing the death of the famed mobster John Dillinger. This movie sounds terrible, Jesse. We're going to watch it anyway. Day of Wrath is actually from 2005. Thank God.
Oh, I'm looking at the wrong film.
Are you? Maybe I'm looking at the wrong film.
Yeah, because what I've got on Wikipedia says this was a play, an adaptation of a play written in 1909, and I can't find a date for the movie.
Wow.
1943.
Okay, I'm looking at the wrong... Okay, maybe Day of Wrath is terrible. I don't know. Anyway, neither one of them should have samurai in it, I don't think.
No, this one... Day of Wrath is about a Norwegian witch.
Oh.
Or at least...
Yeah, we're good.
At least a woman accused of witchcraft in 1923.
Okay. So, that'll do us tonight for Nerds Domain Presents... Or no. Hey, that'll do us tonight for Nerds Domain Podcast. Wow. You can always send us an email at nerdsdomain.com or nerdsdomain@gmail.com if you have feedback, and you can catch us on Twitter. You can find us on Facebook. We want to thank Josh Shop for our music. You can always head over to our website, and after reading all of our reviews, all of them, then you can go to the Amazon link and click it and order stuff. It's the same price for you, and a little bit comes back to us. And if you like the podcast, I encourage you to head over to iTunes, give it a review, and let us know what you think. And you can find our shirts at slashloot.com, at tinyurl.com/ndshirts.